Tulsi Gabbard, she put up on X, and I think this is going to speak to a lot of the things that we have been worrying about, we've been talking about here at the ACLJ for many years. This is what she said. Our nation's intelligence community must be focused on our national security mission. Politically motivated leaks undermine our national security and the trust of the American people and will not be tolerated. Unfortunately, such leaks have become commonplace with no investigation or accountability. That ends now. We know of and are aggressively pursuing recent leakers from within the intelligence community and will hold them accountable. And then it goes on and on from there. But that's a great place to start. Of course, we know of all the leaks that came out during the Biden run, also during the first Trump administration. We also remember the leaks that were happening at the Supreme Court of the United States when the Dobbs decision was leaked ahead of time. An early draft was leaked ahead of time. And what were the repercussions? Absolutely nothing. We even remember James Comey talking about leaking his own documents to the press and letting the New York Times, or whoever it was, put out the statements, making sure he got his stuff out there. Enough is enough with this, and this is why it's exciting to have a new administration, why it's exciting to have somebody who is committed to the truth, like Tulsi Gabbard, in this position.
This is from The Hill that is talking about this, is that Gabbard provided little insight into why she felt the leaks were politically motivated.
Oh, come on.
Because she did give an example of recent leaks that they are concerned about, such as a leaker who'd been sharing classified information with the Huffington Post, a leaker within the intelligence community sharing information on Israel and Iran with the Washington Post, a leaker within the IC sharing information about the U.S. and Russia relationship with NBC. Notice none of these are like the Daily Caller, Breitbart, Fox News. Yeah. A leaker sharing information around National Counterintelligence and Security Center activities and actions with the Record. Any unauthorized release of classified information of a violation of the law and will be treated as such. But it's once again, we've seen this playbook. It is the playbook of the left and the deep state to take information that is classified, leak it to reporters to get a political objective. You even think back to the entire Russia investigation was the intelligence community leaking something to Yahoo News, and then once it was reported by the journalists for Yahoo News, they're like, oh, we read this in Yahoo. Let's do an investigation on it. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy. They leaked information, then use that as the impetus for their investigation to go after President Trump. So it's absurd in the year 2025 to say there's no information on why the Director of National Intelligence thinks these leaks are politically motivated, because they have been for over a decade. Any unauthorized release of classified information is a violation of the law and will be treated as such. I think Tulsi Gabbard means this. She means business. And the entire job of the Director of National Intelligence is to protect the intelligence of the United States. So when there's unauthorized leaking going on, and they even identified Intel Link, which is that internal server and chat service that she's already fired people for using inappropriately with this grotesque chat that they had going on. But they're also looking at that for clues as to the leakers as well. And I do believe that they will refer criminal prosecutions to the Justice Department if they identify and have the evidence to send over there. And I think Pam Bondi will take up the cause and prosecute these individuals. And it doesn't even have to be politically motivated leaks. I think any leak is an inappropriate, gross violation of the law, and they need to be held accountable. And the problem is that it was going on for so long that they did feel like they could get away with it. And with all the talk of Edward Snowden and all of that came up within her hearing, she even said he violated the law. And this would be a very clear example. So if anyone on the left is now going to say she's now becoming politically motivated when they were wanting to get her to answer what should happen to leakers, I think that you will see soon she's going to refer them for criminal prosecution at the Department of Justice. This comes the same day that President Trump is going over to the Department of Justice to give a speech to the staff there about returning to law and order. What's a key component of following law and order? Don't be leaking the nation's secrets to the world, to the news, to the Huffington Post.
This goes back also to that whole conversation that happened. I mean, yes, I even put these as like small L leaks when it comes to talking to the press. I don't like it. It has become common practice, and it certainly has become common practice within Washington that you have your sources. Your sources are who you use if you're in the press, and those sources often have information that you could use, and they're credible. It's not like these are anonymous sources that are lying. A lot of times these are real secrets being released. And then you have on the bigger scale, do you remember just a few weeks ago when they were concerned about the layoffs that were happening, that Tulsi Gabbard and some of these others were going to say, hey, we are finding people who we think are untrustworthy, therefore they need to go. And the press pushed back and said, oh no, if you get rid of those untrustworthy people, which you could probably now say, AKA our sources, what if they go to China? What if they go to Russia and tell all of our nation's secrets? Because they can just be paid off. Everyone can just be paid off. And that's really the thought process in Washington, D.C., which is information to the highest bidder.
And that's what is so gross about what has become the swamp in the intelligence community. That the big concern is that if someone who is working in one of the most sensitive areas of our government has that low bar of loyalty that their job is eliminated, the concern is that they're immediately going to turn on the country and start selling out to the highest bidder, to the very adversaries that they were gathering intelligence on in the first place. That is a shocking state of the world if true. And unfortunately, I think it is true for a lot of people. I think there is a lack of loyalty within the intelligence community. And you hear all the time that President Trump wants people that are loyal to him, that are loyal. It's like, really, what we need is people that are loyal to the United States. And what it sounds like from even the press, and they don't even get their irony of them reporting it, is that these people are not loyal to the United States and therefore should not work in the most sensitive areas of our government. But yet they are. I just want, from your experience and expertise, why it's so critical for the intel agencies to be able to do their jobs without resistance through what she labels as politically motivated leaks.
Oh, goodness. We suffered those nearly every day. Less, frankly, when I was at the CIA than when I was at the State Department. The State Department was a constant conduit of leaks to the New York Times and Washington Post. Years and years of pattern and practice where these folks just felt completely free to tell whatever story they wanted to those folks to undermine what it was President Trump and me and our team were actually trying to accomplish. And so we tried to push back. I applaud everyone from this administration who's going to go identify the leakers and punish them for violating U.S. law. That's totally appropriate. In the same way, I remain convinced that we should go after Edward Snowden and all the folks who take U.S. secrets, lawfully protected secrets, and just leak them because they have a particular view of the world. That's not appropriate. There's methods. If you see something going on that's wrong, there's a way to do that. It is not to go tell the New York Times and Washington Post to try to get your preferred policy outcome. That is indecent. It violates U.S. law. And I hope they're able to find some of these folks, which proved difficult. And when they do find them, that they get the appropriate punishment for having put American lives at risk and American foreign policy at risk in a way that President Trump wants to deliver this, putting America first.